During my absence, Ramiris and Veldora seemed to be hard at work too. After having inspected all the major construction sites and returning home, the two came out to welcome me. Is there a problem? Or do they have something to show off? It was the latter. Great news, Rimuru. The prototype is finally finished. If the test run is successful, we begin producing actual models en masse. I'm very confident this time, come check it out. Urged by the two, I followed them as they hurried along. Right now there were several research facilities within Tempest. The one open to the general public was the smithing workshop used by Quirky and his disciples. The technology there couldn't be pirated or immediately learned. These research facilities had their location kept strictly confidential from the public. We wanted to construct these institutions in locations that were difficult for any average person to enter, but at the same time, could defend easily. Based on these criteria, we ultimately decided to build them inside the underground labyrinth. At 100th floor stood the research facility for me, Veldora and Ramiris' personal usage. Gabel was appointed as the director of our nation's official research institute. In addition, a forest was already growing on the 95th floor, and so a large research facility was established there as well. Since all of the Beastmen refugees had already left for their home country, it was an empty, spacious area that we promptly utilized. In this world, people believed that natural phenomena were directly related to the power of spirits. There was a total of 5 traditional spirits: earth, water, fire, wind, and space. Furthermore, there were also the 3 greater spirits of light, dark and time. The science that utilizes phenomena caused by these spirits, and the subsequent technology related to them, was known as spirit engineering. It was one of the most well-known fields of research in this world. The magic researchers from Sarian, on the other hand, studied the more secretive field of magic science. It was a realm that only those who had mastered magic could reach. It was said that the basic theories were first proposed by a genius Alvan researcher, Sarian Emperor Omisha's mother. There seemed to be fewer and fewer people who were able to inherit the knowledge contained within this field. To what extent could the world be changed by manipulating the laws of magic? I heard that even philosophy was considered to be a part of this field's study. I felt that it was something Diablo would love to look into. The fundamental theory of magic science seemed to infer that by forcefully altering phenomena, spirit engineering can be developed. The difficult part was that the theories could only be understood by mages that have mastered elemental magic. However, the practicality of this unique theory was also obvious. It was no wonder why Sorcerer's Dynasty Sarian declared it to be a national secret and forbade anyone from leaking it to other nations. Veldora and Ramiris were the ones supervising things. Even though Ramiris herself was not that menacing, her assistant Beretta and trainee-san would not sit still to any rudeness directed at their master. The arrogant one's demise was truly tragic. "Oi, where's my tea?" a certain annoying dragon demanded. "Yes, right away." "Ah, what a rough day. My shoulders are so stiff," a certain annoying fairy sighed. "Please allow me to give you a massage." "What are these surmounters even?" "Oh, these stupid idiots, you're useless," the leader of the vampires lamented, but at least he didn't complain about this to Veldora and Ramiris. And so, they had a surprisingly smooth time integrating with everyone. What they were researching was even more interesting. The vampires' research was the polar opposite of magic science. Luminas labeled their research as useless, but I disagreed. The research the vampires were undertaking was exactly the same as engineering physics back on Earth. It was devoid of any magical components, and instead tried to discover the laws of the natural world. By jotting down detailed records of natural phenomena, they would then turn them into physical laws. This was the essence of their study. They always wound up obtaining the same outcome, regardless of who the researcher was at the time. In some sense, it was to be expected, but there were also many variants due to the many magical phenomena in this world. In a way, this field of study could be considered unorthodox. Luminas didn't seem to like it, but I believed it was quite interesting. We needed to ensure the personal safety of every researcher, in addition to keeping the outcome of their research confidential. That was the duty our nation had to uphold. The researchers working here were wearing specially designed bracelets. It was a fine gadget that Ramiris made, which removed the numerical limit on the traditional resurrection bracelet. It also included functions such as communication and teleportation within the labyrinth, though the preset teleportation destinations were only the surface and the research facility. Since the researchers had to keep all sorts of secrets, we had to inconvenience them on some matters. Based on these considerations, we gave away these items for free. They could only access the pre-designated locations, and couldn't move between floors or teleport to other areas. Moreover, once they teleported, relevant data about the user would be recorded to prevent any information leak. Although, they still had other means to move around. For instance, asking the Dryads to help teleport them. In that regard, they needed trainee San's direct approval. All in all, there shouldn't be any way to conduct espionage activities within the labyrinth. Furthermore, all of their activities were being monitored, so if they were up to some dishonest activities, we could immediately pursue them. And if they got stuck in parts of the labyrinth, we could easily apprehend them. There were reasons for such strict regulations. I had been informed that highly developed civilizations tend to attract attacks from the angels, and that was the main reason why we had prepared so thoroughly. In that regard alone, there was no safer place than Ramiris's labyrinth. Inside there specifically, the 95th floor of the labyrinth, it should be possible to stop even the angels' invasion. Ramiris bragged that if anything were to happen, she could switch the floors instantly, exchanging floor 95 for floor 99. This deep city within the labyrinth was likely the safest place in all of Tempest. In order to prevent secrets from leaking, this place was completely isolated. On top of that, the labyrinth also provided the perfect environment for the welfare of the staff, including healthcare, so the labyrinth was a great living environment too. The 95th floor had some of the most luxurious service facilities in our nation, so I figured that would be enough to satisfy the researchers. By the way, while the sealed cave was considered as a major research site in the past, it had been shut down. The prolonged planting of hypocrite herbs caused the concentration of magicules to drop drastically within the cave. Therefore, even though the concentration was still relatively high, the product yield would naturally not be as ideal. That was why we decided to move the hypocrite plantation to a different location. With that being said, we had already planned to transform the flower field on floor 93 to a special zone for growing hypocrite herbs. We would merely increase the magicule concentration on the floor in order to mutate the weeds. All vital research would be conducted within the labyrinth in the future. As I suspected, the two were bringing me to the 95th floor's research facility. The fact that we weren't heading to their private chambers appeared to suggest we were reviewing the results from our joint research agreement. They did mention a prototype, so it seemed that the research was going smoothly. It looked like our key item would be ready just in time for the railroad tracks to open. The 95th floor, which I hadn't visited in a while, had gradually become a forest-type city before I knew it. In this beautifully maintained park, the cityscape seemed to mesh perfectly with the surrounding trees. I always wondered how they managed to erect such a large city, but considering some of the elves had once lived in the forest, this was probably the manifestation of their wisdom. With that in mind, I continued to follow the two. Soon, I laid eyes on the research facility in the center of the park. The building was constructed from reinforced concrete, so it was rather jarring. There were also many large buildings adjacent to the main facility. We also had a dormitory for the foreign researchers to sleep in. For some reason, these supposedly brand new buildings built under my supervision looked a bit ancient. However, it did give off a rather unique air, so I guess that was okay. It's so quaint with all these trees nearby, Ramiris gushed. Right. A research facility obviously needs an aura of mystery, Veldora declared proudly. What aura of mystery are you talking about? They're like a bunch of kids joyfully building their secret base. Where did you learn all this bizarre stuff? Everyone's getting along well. We were even thinking about forming a secret society. Secret society? What the hell have you guys been doing here? Haha, wasn't Rimuru the first one to reveal everyone's research results? Some people originally wanted to steal other nations' technology, but because of what you did, they were finally able to turn back on the right path. I never expected this. There were huge barriers between nations, and researchers from different countries were no different, since they all had contrasting opinions. Each had their home nation's best interests in mind, and some planned to absorb the technology of others, while keeping their own hidden. I figured this joint research wasn't going to work if that happened, and so I decided to expose everyone's technology in one go. In the eyes of Raphael-sensei, there was no such thing as secret technology. I summarized everything so that it was easy to understand, like some kind of official manual, and handed everyone a copy. I had generously used up all the expensive paper that Yuki helped prepare for me. Although it was a little wasteful, I deemed it a necessary loss. As opposed to parchment, I wanted to record information on paper that was made from plant fibers. The paper given to me by Yuki appeared to be manufactured by the Empire, though its quality was almost the same as paper produced on Earth. I was sure everyone saw my seriousness after using all this valuable paper. After the incident, the researchers became very open with one another. Everyone was cooperating out of pure desire to fulfill their intellectual curiosity. Oh, you compiled confidential information from every nation involved and made it into a data book so everyone could read it, didn't you? Even though people were very vocal about it at the time, I thought it would lead to new technologies being developed. We shared just this thought with Rimuru. We later held a recognition of service party, and everyone found a kindred spirit in each other, added Ramiris. Consequently, researchers gave up on trying to hide their technological secrets and began cooperating with each other. Strangely enough, an unusual sense of solidarity quickly developed within the research facility. It seemed that everyone was no longer just thinking about their home nation. Even the surmounter vampires had become companions that considered themselves to be our equal. Things were getting interesting. This was good. Yet despite this fantastic outcome, there was a problem. The researchers gradually formed the structure of a community, which was led by Veldora and Ramiris. That might be the reason why an independent organization was formed. That's right. It was like some sort of evil secret society, where everyone could enjoy researching the things they truly liked. It was quite the mysterious environment. Ramiris was especially interested in the various fields of research. She eventually became the group's mascot and idol. Veldora, on the other hand, became the evil ringleader. These guys seriously did this while I was gone. With that being said, I figured if I were here, they would probably do something even more outrageous. No, that can't be true. With that thought in mind, I continued my conversation with them. So that's why the place now looks like this. How about it? Isn't it cool, having an evil secret base? Ah, just as I suspected. It really is a secret base. Veldora's source of information was mainly reproduced from my memories. That explained why the research facility looked the way it did, straight from manga and other sources. As a result, my intuition regarding the reasons behind his actions was often the right answer. Tisk, you guys sure were having fun by yourselves. Gahaha. It's nothing really. What comes next is the important part. We will need your wisdom in the future. That's right, Rimuru. You always give us a scare. Now it's our turn to surprise you. Take a look at our research first before you share your opinion. Hearing the accidental slip of my genuine thoughts, Veldora laughed out loud, while Ramiris tried to comfort me. I shouldn't sulk after what she said. I regained my composure and followed the two into the facility.